What's up, Hobby Maniacs? MBG here today with another sweet assembly video. Today I'm going to show you how to put together the Necron Tomb Blade Kit. And let me tell you, I kind of walked into this thinking it was just going to be a cakewalk. This kit is both really awesome and really complicated at the same time. I love the kit. It's an amazing model, and the conversion possibilities are really out there. There's a lot of crazy stuff you can do with them. But I'll tell you what, this thing is super tricky to put together. And even I was like, wait, how can I make this so we can airbrush it? Like, trying to figure out some assemblies and different things like that. So that's what we're going to show you today, is how to put it together, and also how to do it in a way that you can paint it in assembly fashion using an airbrush, which is, you know, obviously a time saver and lets you go in and do way more details. Now, by the time you see this video up on YouTube, it would have already been up for over a week over on the Long War. If you haven't gone over to the Long War yet, what the Long War is where the battle reports are. But not only that, by becoming a member or a veteran of the Long War, you get access to exclusive content, early access videos like this one. Like I said, it's going to be up there for a while. Our battle reports are up there for the Long War. Kenny Boucher from Next Level Painting, his painting tutorials are up there for, you know, early access as well. Plus, there's a pretty robust little download section of army lists. We're gonna start doing some more with the X-Wing stuff because I really like X-Wing. It's just a really great game, and it's a nice thing that fills the void when you can't get a game with 40K in. Because let's be honest, 40K takes a while to play sometimes, and you know, we can't all give up that like 4 hours a day to get it in. So that's why I like X-Wing, and of course it's Star Wars. So why not? So you can go on over to thelongwar.net and become a veteran of the Long War today for free. You get 7 free days to check it all out, and you can cancel at any time, of course. But you know, I think with all the content that's over there, I think it's a really good resource. Plus, it helps support what we're doing here. You know, for basically an extra pot of paint a month, you're kind of giving back to the supporting the people that do things to help you with these videos. And we're going to be expanding it. We're going to be putting a whole lot more stuff in there here soon, and it really gives us the ability to upgrade our equipment and spend a lot more time on these videos to really put out a quality, polished product. So head on over there if you haven't already. Check it all out. See what the Long War is about. You know, click on the image there on the screen and check it all out. So without further ado, we're going to jump on into this tutorial of the Necron Tomb Blades. Alright, so here we go. I'm going to grab my gear. First, plastic glue, then that plastic putty I've been talking about for a while, brush, clippers, then we're going to have X-Acto blade and seam scraper. Of course, very first thing to do, always change out your blade for each project. That way you're not working with a dull blade and building yourself up for failure like I always seem to do. So you're going to change out that blade, like I said. You can find 100 packs of those blades online for super cheap. I think I got 100 of those blades for like $6. Then we're going to throw down on the actual sprues themselves. Now you kind of saw there that we're going to try to make it into kind of an assembly with the wings and the pilots kind of separate. So it's 3 identical sprues, which makes it easy. So I'm just going to kind of get in there and get off the crescent parts first, because that's what you actually kind of want to start with. That's the main chassis of the body. Make sure with your clippers that you're not getting too close to the actual part. You want to try to leave a little bit of separation between the gates and the actual parts themselves. So just going to kind of nug out, you know, a few of the bigger pieces that I need here, which is going to pretty much consist of just that crescent shape, then like the vents, and there's like a weapon mount and the wings itself. Now the wings you're not going to glue in at all, actually, if you want to paint them separately. At least that's how I'm doing it there. So I'm just kind of lining it up here and going to take some of those big burrs off. Now remember, I cut wrong, and you can see right there I got myself at least once that day, so I'm going to be super careful this time to try to not destroy my thumb even more than I normally do. So just going to kind of get in there very carefully. Of course, that was just too much force, so I was going to have to use the table to brace it. So remember to cut away from your body when you're doing these things. Now I'm going to get in there after I glue it together and just kind of hit the seams a little bit closer. The seam scraper is perfect for this. You can really get in there and get it nice and flush, nice and even. You're not going to cut into the actual model. It's a very good tool for scraping seams. It doesn't work as well on some of the resins or some intricate details, but for this sort of thing, it's pretty much perfect. So I'm going to get in there with my brush and get the sprue pieces off of there. So now you can kind of see the assembly here once you get it all glued together. And you notice there's a huge gap going down that spine. And that's a problem because you're going to see it. You're definitely going to see it when you airbrush. So I'm going to show you a little trick. I'm going to grab the Vallejo plastic putty and just start kind of plastering it in there. There's not a super crazy technique to it. You just kind of smatter it on. And I used the little bottle, the nozzle right there, just to kind of work it into the gaps. Just go along the whole spine of the chassis itself and just kind of dabbing it down so it kind of get a nice good stick. Watching out for those holes, of course. I mean, you can get it on there, it's going to come right up when you scrape it out. But just take the time and get in there and do it. And then on the little ball on the bottom that holds the thruster jets, there's a huge seam on that as well. So I was going to get in there and get that as well. Now that one's a little tricky, so I kind of probably used a little too much than I should have, but that's just the way it is. So now we're going to grab the thrusters. I'm going to get those glued on there. The pilot itself, we're going to glue just like you see it there with the arms separate. We're not going to glue the arms onto the control stick, and then that little top piece that I'm pointing to, that's actually not going to get glued down. That's probably going to have to stay off so you can actually paint the rider separately. And then put them back on, kind of like I'm doing here. Now the trick to this is you just have to be careful. It's very easy once you just kind of work it in there. Remember, he still kind of wants to fall apart because I just glued him. But the big trick is to slot the face forward into the little nub that you're going to see in the front, the nebuloscope or whatever it's called. Just slot that in, and once you slot that in, you can slot the spine little receptacles into the actual vehicle itself, just like that. And then once that's done, he's pretty much locked in, and then his hands can just go on the control nubs as well. Didn't glue down any of that either, just because I wanted to paint him separately. So what I'm going to do is let him sit here, let him dry, and get into the pose he has to be. Now I forgot the bottom with the kick plate, and that's why it's kind of a little bit looser in there, but normally he would be nice to secure. So next up is the weapons. Going to throw the particle caster on here because it seems to be the good buy for this particular vehicle. And then of course it's just got its normal veins and its normal upgrades there, and the shield veins go on the top. That's an actual upgrade you pay for. Personally, I think the whole vehicle looks better when you have them on there, so I would glue them on either way. Now you can kind of see that the stuff's starting to chunk up, so we're going to let it dry a little bit more and put some of the other pieces together here. Now you see those shield veins there right above what I'm working with. Those actually are 4 pieces. So you want to glue those together and let them sit on their side, kind of like I have there, while you're doing everything else as well. So they glue together, and you can easily put them onto the assembly here shortly. Now I got the kick plate on there, so it's all good to go. Now, like I said, we're doing the wings separate, but you do have to build up the actual, maneuvering wing pieces, whatever you want to call them there. So we're going to do that separate. So this whole piece, this whole assembly right here is going to stay off. So you have to detach the rider, put this on, and then glue this down. It contacts the actual chassis at like 3 different parts. There's a little nub and the two little kind of winglets on the back, kind of lock into the spine. So it should be, in theory, easy to lock back in to the actual chassis after you paint this separately. So once you get the actual support struts on there, you're just going to glue the little winglets on as well. And you want to make sure that you get them nice and on a nice even plane, like the same plane horizontally and perpendicularly as well. And then these just basically got to match up at the right angles. Kind of looks like a little weird rocking chair, kind of pontoon plane little thing here, but once you get it actually mounted onto the chassis at the right angle, it actually all starts to make sense, which is pretty neat. I mean, it's a pretty neat little kit. I really like how they put it together. It is way more complicated than it seems, trust me. So now we're getting close to that, the actual plastic putty being hard enough to deal with, and we're gonna have to scrape that off of there here in a minute, because I don't want to be putting the shield vanes on and then doing a bunch of heavy scraping and the sensor spines and the stuff on the back. So it's about that time to get in there and just get that material off of there and make sure that the seams got filled. So this is pretty much one of the last steps. You want to make sure that your stuff is hard. Don't leave this stuff out overnight, because it's just gonna get rock hard. So you want to make sure you work with this stuff within, I'd say, at least a 6-hour window if you're putting it on there. So just grab your seam scraper and just scrape away. It's just like extra flash. It comes up pretty easily. It's still not 100% dry, but dry enough that it's in there. It's nice and flush. It filled that gap really good. You can see there, even from when I zoomed out, that it's all filled. So now we're going to take a look at the whole spine, which there it is. It's pretty well fixed, pretty well filled in, even around that sphere structure on the back that holds the thruster. So it's all good to go. So now it's time to attach the shield vanes, and these are fiddly little bits. They are very frustrating at times. So you want to make sure that you get those two pieces glued together first. Put your glue on the little struts, the little strut supports, and they actually lock in to the little cross hatchings on the spine piece on the back of the chassis, just like I'm doing there. Now this is a very fragile assembly. You want to be very careful with it. Give it enough time to dry that you can work with it, because like I said, if you disrespect this step, it will own you, especially if you're working with normal super glue. I could only imagine how frustrating that could be. So now you kind of see where we're at. I mean, it's all coming together. I attached the wings separately, and then I put the pilot back over top of it and locked him in, just to give you guys a good idea. Now the reason we keep all this stuff separated is so you can paint the top sensor pieces a different color, the wings a different color, the rider can be a little bit more intricately detailed, and that little retaining plate that will be glued down last so you can still switch the rider out is a big part of it. So you don't want to glue that down, but you can definitely paint it differently. So there it is. The assembly's all done. So I hope you enjoyed that assembly video. Gave you a few tips and tricks on how to put yours together, and still be able to paint it relatively quick and easy as well. If you haven't already done so, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel and check out the Long War. We talked about that earlier today. Tons of exclusive content and more. Become a veteran today.
Yo, Hobby Maniacs, thanks for checking out my channel. Don't forget, there's tons of other tutorials, unboxings, and tips and tactics videos on here as well. And make sure you visit my best friend Kenny B's Fresh Hobby channel over on Next Level Painting.